Have you ever found yourself caught in a whirlwind of questions, wondering if he's truly thinking about you when you're not around? It's a familiar feeling, checking your phone every few minutes, analyzing his every word or action, and asking yourself if his silence is just a pause or a subtle cry that he misses you. What if I told you there are unmistakable signs that reveal exactly how he feels? Imagine the confidence you'd have, knowing that his longing for you is just as strong as your own. Missing someone isn't just about absence, it's a profound emotional experience that leaves traces in behavior, communication, and even body language. Yet so many of us overlook the subtle clues that men leave behind when they miss someone deeply. Why? Because we're conditioned to believe that men are stoic, impenetrable, or unwilling to show vulnerability. But here's the truth. When a man misses you, his actions speak volumes, even when his words don't. In this video, we'll explore 5 undeniable signs that he's truly missing you. These aren't just surface-level observations, they're rooted in psychology, human connection, and the art of understanding stoicism in relationships. Each sign is a window into his heart, and by the time you've uncovered all 5, you'll have the tools to interpret his emotions like never before. But before we dive in, let me ask you, are you ready to decode the mysteries of his behavior and discover whether his heart aches for you the way yours does for him? Let's start with a sign that's as revealing as it is universal, his communication patterns. 1. His communication becomes more frequent and enthusiastic. When a man misses you, his communication changes in ways that can feel almost electric. Have you noticed him texting more often, reaching out unexpectedly, or sharing little snippets of his day that he wouldn't normally mention? These aren't just random acts, they're deliberate attempts to bridge the distance between you. Missing someone creates an emotional pull, and communication is often the first outlet for that longing. Think about it. Why would he go out of his way to text you good morning every single day or share a song that reminded him of you? It's not just routine, it's him saying, "I'm thinking about you even when I don't have to be." This kind of outreach shows that you occupy a unique and important space in his mind. The consistency, tone, and enthusiasm of his messages are all clues that he's not just talking to you out of obligation, he genuinely wants to connect. But what happens when his messages become more personal? Let's say he starts reminiscing about moments you've shared, like that rainy afternoon walk or the way you smiled when he told a silly joke. These aren't just sweet anecdotes, they're his way of reliving those memories because he misses the feeling of being close to you. Men, even the most stoic ones, often express their emotions through actions rather than declarations. And in this case, his words are his actions. Yet communication isn't just about frequency, it's about depth. Have you ever received a message from him that feels like he's opening a window into his soul? Maybe he shares something vulnerable, a challenge he's facing, a dream he has, or even a simple confession like, "I've been thinking about you a lot lately." These moments of honesty are powerful indicators that you're on his mind in a way that goes beyond casual interest. His willingness to communicate openly and enthusiastically reflects a longing to keep you close, even from afar. Let's not forget about spontaneity. Have you ever been surprised by a late-night call, a random meme that made him think of you, or an out-of-the-blue text saying, "I just wanted to hear your voice"? These little gestures are his way of closing the emotional gap between you, even if he can't physically be there. When a man takes the initiative to stay connected, it's a clear sign that he misses your presence. Now, here's where it gets even more fascinating, the social media breadcrumb trail. If he's liking your posts, commenting on your stories, or even subtly hinting at inside jokes you've shared, he's trying to signal his interest without being too overt. Social media has become a modern-day stage for subtle expressions of longing, and a man who misses you will often use this platform to stay in your orbit. But let me ask you, have you noticed any of these signs in your own interactions? If so, how do they make you feel? Recognizing his efforts is the first step in understanding his emotions. His communication isn't just a habit, it's a window into his heart. And if he's reaching out, it's because he can't help but crave the connection he feels when he's with you. In the next part, we'll delve even deeper into the ways his behavior changes when you're not around. Because while his words may tell part of the story, his actions will always reveal the truth. Stay tuned, because things are about to get even more intriguing. 2. His behavior changes when you're not around. Have you ever wondered why he seems different when you're not there? Maybe he's quieter, a bit distracted, or even more emotional than usual. When a man truly misses you, his behavior shifts in ways that aren't always obvious at first glance, but once you notice them, they're impossible to ignore. These changes, subtle or dramatic, are the emotional breadcrumbs he leaves behind, showing just how much your absence impacts him. Let's start with the most intriguing question. What does his behavior say about his feelings when you're not together? Men are often seen as emotionally composed, even stoic, in the way they handle their feelings. This is where stoicism becomes an important lens. It teaches men to mask their emotions under the guise of control. But the truth is, even the most composed man can't completely hide the effects of missing someone he deeply cares about. For example, have you noticed that he becomes unusually sentimental when you're around? He might suddenly bring up memories of things you've done together, like that spontaneous road trip or the way you laughed uncontrollably at his silly dance moves. This isn't just nostalgia, it's his way of emotionally anchoring himself to the moments when you were close. Men often relive these moments internally, and when they bring them up, it's a sign that those memories are vivid and alive in his mind. But what happens when you're not there? Does he seem distant, as if he's carrying an invisible weight? That too can be a sign. Missing someone creates a void, and it's not unusual for men to respond to that void by withdrawing or appearing introspective. He might seem distracted in conversations, a little quieter or more reflective than usual. This isn't a lack of interest, it's the emotional impact of missing your presence. And here's something truly fascinating. When men feel the ache of your absence, they often find ways to express it indirectly. Let's say he suddenly starts listening to a playlist you made or rewatching a show you both loved. These small actions are his way of staying emotionally connected to you even when he can't reach out directly. Have you noticed him doing anything like this? Maybe he brings up topics you used to talk about, or revisits places you both enjoyed. These are clear signs he's longing for that connection. But let's take it one step further. What if his behavior becomes more emotional? Have you ever seen him get unusually quiet or even act a little irritable when you're not around? These emotional shifts can happen because missing someone you care about creates a tension that's hard to ignore. It's like there's a piece of his emotional puzzle missing, and without you, he feels incomplete. If you've ever noticed him acting this way, it's not random. It's the silent language of someone who feels your absence deeply. On the flip side, some men respond by making extra effort to fill the gap. Have you ever had him suddenly plan a surprise visit or invite you to do something meaningful together? This isn't just about spending time, it's his way of saying, I miss you, and I'm willing to make the effort to show it. These gestures, whether big or small, speak volumes about how much he values your presence. Think about it. Would he go out of his way to create these moments if he didn't miss you? Now, let's get even more personal. How does he act when you're finally together again after being apart? Does he seem a little more attentive, maybe even clingy in a way that's endearing? This isn't a coincidence. It's his subconscious reaction to finally being close to the person he's been longing for. He might not say it outright, but his actions, like lingering a little longer during a hug or making eye contact that feels deeper than usual, are clear indicators that your presence is like a balm for his soul. Here's a question for you. Do you feel like he's trying to stay connected to you even when you're apart? Maybe it's the way he brings up shared memories, or perhaps it's the effort he makes to keep conversations alive despite the distance. Whatever the case, these behavioral shifts are often the clearest signs that he's truly missing you. Speaking of connection, let's take a quick moment for you to connect with this video. If you're loving these insights so far, like this video and comment number 1 below. I want to hear from you. Are these signs resonating with what you're experiencing? And don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more deep dives into understanding the hearts and minds of men. Let's continue this journey together. Now, let's dive even deeper. What about those times when his actions seem almost contradictory? For instance, he might seem distant one moment but overly attentive the next. This push-pull dynamic is often a reflection of the inner conflict he feels. On one hand, he wants to maintain his composure, stoicism at play again, but on the other, his longing for you seeps through in unexpected ways. This contrast can be confusing, but it's a telltale sign that you're on his mind more than you realize. Have you noticed him becoming a little more protective or attentive in subtle ways? Maybe he checks in to make sure you're okay or offers to help you with something small but meaningful. These behaviors aren't just acts of kindness, they're his way of staying emotionally close to you. When a man misses you, he often channels that emotion into actions that show he cares. And then there's the way he talks about the future. Missing someone often makes people think about the time ahead, when they'll see you next, what they'll do differently, or how they'll make up for lost moments. If he's talking about future plans with you, even casually, it's a strong indicator that he sees you as a significant part of his life. These conversations might seem simple, but they're his way of expressing that he doesn't want to imagine a future without you in it. So let me ask you, have you started noticing these changes in his behavior? Maybe he's been reminiscing more, acting a little different when you're not there, or going out of his way to create moments that bring you closer. Each of these actions, no matter how subtle, is a window into his heart, a way of showing that your presence matters more to him than he might openly admit. 3. He makes an effort to spend time together. What does it truly mean when a man goes out of his way to spend time with you? It's not just about clearing a spot on his calendar or sending you a last-minute "let's hang out" text. When he makes deliberate, intentional efforts to be with you, it's a powerful signal that he's feeling your absence and wants to bridge that emotional distance. This isn't just casual interest, it's a clear and undeniable sign that he misses you deeply. Think about it, when someone is busy, they prioritize what matters most. So when he rearranges his schedule, cancels other plans, or even drives across town just to see you, it's not random. It's his way of saying, I want to be where you are because that's where I feel most alive. But let me ask you, have you ever noticed him putting in extra effort to make your time together special? Maybe he plans an outing to one of your favorite places, books tickets to a show you've mentioned in passing, or surprises you with something thoughtful, like a coffee from your favorite cafe. These gestures may seem simple on the surface, but they're deeply rooted in his desire to create meaningful moments with you. Why? Because when he misses you, every second together feels precious. Have you ever wondered why he chooses to spend his limited free time with you, even when he has other options? It's because being with you fills a void that nothing else can. You might notice that he lingers a little longer after your dates, finds excuses to extend the time you spend together, or insists on walking you home, even when it's out of his way. These aren't just courteous actions, they're small but powerful ways of saying, I don't want this moment to end. Let's talk about how he plans your time together. When a man misses you, he doesn't just suggest generic hangouts. Instead, he'll think about activities that matter to you, the kind of things that show he's been paying attention. Has he ever suggested recreating a special memory, like revisiting the park where you first walked together or going to that restaurant where you laughed for hours? These actions reveal a deeper emotional connection. They're his way of cherishing not just your presence, but also the shared history that binds you together. And here's the kicker. Men who miss you don't just create time for you, they make sure that time is meaningful. Maybe he's asked deeper questions lately, like what's something you've always wanted to do but haven't yet? Or where would you go if you could visit anywhere in the world? These conversations aren't just idle chatter, they're his way of understanding you better, of creating moments that bring you closer. Have you noticed him initiating plans more often than usual? For example, he might suggest a spontaneous road trip or a cozy movie night, even when it's not a special occasion. This spontaneity is a clear sign that he doesn't just miss you in theory, he misses the energy, laughter, and connection that only you bring to his life. And when he takes the lead in planning these moments, it's his way of showing that he's invested in you and values your time together. But let's not forget the effort he puts into the details. When a man misses you, he'll go above and beyond to make your time together feel personal and special. Maybe he remembers little things, like your favorite wine, the way you like your coffee, or even the fact that you've been wanting to try a new hiking trail. These thoughtful touches are more than just good manners, they're his way of saying, I see you, I know you, and I care about you. Here's a question for you. Have you ever felt like he's going out of his way to make you smile during your time together? Maybe it's the way he tells silly jokes just to hear your laugh, or the effort he puts into making sure you're comfortable and happy. These aren't just random acts, they're emotional investments. When a man misses you, he pours his energy into ensuring that the moments you share are unforgettable. And let's talk about the flip side. What happens when plans fall through? Have you noticed him expressing genuine disappointment when he can't see you? Maybe he says things like, I was really looking forward to tonight, or let's reschedule soon, I don't want to wait too long to see you. This kind of reaction speaks volumes about how much your presence means to him. He's not just missing a date, he's missing you. Now, I want you to think about how he acts during your time together. Does he seem fully present, hanging on your every word and making you feel like the most important person in the room? If so, this isn't just coincidence, it's his way of soaking in every moment because he knows how much he'll miss you when you're gone. Speaking of missing someone, let me take a quick second to remind you. If you're loving these insights, hit that like button. And if you agree that spending time together is one of the clearest signs someone misses you, drop a number 1 in the comments below. Let's see how many of you have experienced this in your own relationships. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another deep dive into understanding the subtle ways men show their feelings. Now, back to our exploration. There's something magical about the way a man's effort to spend time with you reveals his emotions. It's not just about the grand gestures, it's about the consistency. Have you ever noticed how he keeps showing up, time and time again, even when life gets busy or stressful? That's not just dedication, it's devotion. And it's one of the purest ways to tell that he's missing you. But let me leave you with this thought. What happens after your time together ends? If he's already thinking about when he'll see you next, it's a sign that the time you spend together means as much to him as it does to you. And that's a feeling worth holding on to. In the next part, we'll uncover the subtle but powerful ways his body language gives away how much he misses you. If you thought his words and actions were revealing, just wait until you learn what his non-verbal cues have to say. Stay tuned, it's about to get even more fascinating. 4. His body language speaks louder than words. When it comes to understanding how much someone misses you, words can only take you so far. The real story, it's hidden in the way he moves, the way his eyes linger on you, and the subtle gestures that reveal the emotions he may not be ready or able to put into words. Body language is a powerful, unfiltered glimpse into his heart, and when a man misses you, it shows in every glance, every touch, and every shift of his posture. Have you ever caught him leaning in just a little closer when you're talking? Maybe he sits a bit forward, as if closing the physical space between you might also close the emotional distance he's been feeling. This isn't just coincidence. Subconsciously, he's drawn to you, and his body reflects that longing without him even realizing it. The closeness isn't just physical, it's his silent way of saying, I want to be near you. Now, let's talk about his eyes. They say the eyes are the windows to the soul, and when he misses you, they're practically an open book. Have you noticed him holding eye contact just a little longer than usual? There's an intensity in the way he looks at you, as if he's trying to memorize every detail of your face. That's not just attraction, that's the longing of someone who cherishes the moments they get to spend with you. And when his gaze softens or lingers during quiet moments, it's his way of saying, I miss this connection. Here's a question for you. Have you ever felt like he's physically drawn to you in subtle but undeniable ways? Maybe it's the way he reaches out to touch your hand during a conversation, or how his shoulder seems to brush yours a little more often than necessary. These small touches aren't accidental, they're deliberate acts of closeness. For someone who misses you, even the smallest physical connection can feel like a lifeline. And then there's the way he positions himself when you're together. Have you noticed that his body always seems to face yours, even in a crowded room? This is a subconscious signal that you're the center of his attention, the person he's most attuned to. Even when he's not speaking, his body language says, "You're the one I want to be with." But what about nervous energy? When a man misses you, there's often a tension in his movements. Maybe he fidgets with his hands, adjusts his clothes, or shifts in his seat. These aren't signs of discomfort, they're signals of emotional vulnerability. Missing someone can make even the most composed man feel a little off balance, and his body language reflects that inner turmoil. Let's not forget about how he reacts when you touch him. Have you ever noticed how his posture relaxes, or how he seems to lean into your touch, even slightly? This isn't just physical, it's emotional. Touch has a way of bridging gaps that words can't, and when he responds to your touch with warmth and attentiveness, it's a clear sign that he's been longing for that connection. And then there's the smile. Oh, the smile. When he sees you after time apart, does his face light up in a way that feels almost magnetic? That kind of smile isn't rehearsed. It's pure, unfiltered joy. It's the expression of someone who's missed you so much that just seeing you again feels like a gift. But body language isn't just about the big moments, it's also about the subtle cues. For instance, have you noticed how he mirrors your movements? If you lean forward, he leans forward. If you cross your arms, he does the same. This mirroring isn't just a coincidence, it's a subconscious way of building connection and showing empathy. When a man misses you, he naturally wants to align with you, both emotionally and physically. And here's something even more fascinating. Have you noticed how his tone of voice changes when he's talking to you? While not technically body language, his voice often reflects the same emotions. It may soften, slow down, or even become more animated. This vocal shift is a sign of the emotional closeness he feels and his desire to convey that, even if he doesn't fully realize it. Let me ask you, have you started to notice these little signs in your own interactions? If so, how do they make you feel? When you pay attention to the subtle shifts in his body language, you'll discover a treasure trove of unspoken emotions that reveal just how much you mean to him. And speaking of emotions, let's take a quick moment to connect. If you're loving this deep dive into how body language reveals what words can't, hit that like button and comment number 1 below. I'd love to hear from you. Have you seen any of these signs in your own relationships? And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another video that helps you unlock the mysteries of love and connection. Now, back to the fascinating world of body language. Let's talk about what happens when he's trying to hide his feelings. Sometimes, men who miss you might mask their emotions under the guise of control or indifference, but even then their bodies betray them. Have you noticed him looking away when you ask personal questions, or suddenly finding something to do with his hands when the conversation gets emotional? These avoidance tactics aren't about disinterest, they're about vulnerability. When someone misses you, the intensity of their feelings can be overwhelming, and their body language reflects that internal struggle. And let's not ignore the power of proximity. Have you ever realized that he always seems to find a way to be close to you, even in group settings? Maybe he gravitates toward you in a crowded room, or finds an excuse to sit next to you, even when other seats are available. This isn't just chance, it's his subconscious pulling him toward the person he misses most. Here's a final thought for you. Body language doesn't lie. While words can be carefully chosen or withheld, the way he moves, looks, and reacts is a direct reflection of his emotions. If he misses you, it will show in the way his body instinctively reaches for yours, the way his eyes linger, and the way his presence feels almost magnetic. These unspoken signs are his heart's way of speaking directly to yours. In the next part, we'll take everything we've learned so far and dive into the emotional depths of what happens when he shares sentimental or personal thoughts with you. If his actions and body language have revealed his longing, his words will paint an even clearer picture. Stay tuned, because we're about to uncover the final piece of the puzzle. 5. He shares sentimental or personal thoughts. There's something uniquely powerful about the words a man chooses to share when he's missing you. Beyond the playful banter, casual conversations, and surface-level exchanges lies a deeper layer, one filled with sentiment, nostalgia, and raw emotion. When a man opens up and shares his personal thoughts or reflects on shared memories, it's a heartfelt sign that he's been thinking about you in a way that goes far beyond the moment. So let's begin with this question. Have you noticed him bringing up past moments you've shared together, seemingly out of the blue? Maybe he reminisces about a funny story, a quiet moment you spent together, or even something small, like the way you smiled when he told a particular joke. This isn't just idle chatter. When a man brings up these memories, it's his way of holding on to them because they mean something to him. And by sharing them with you, he's creating an emotional bridge back to those times. Let's dive even deeper. Have you ever had him suddenly confess something he's been thinking about, something that feels unusually vulnerable? For instance, he might say, "I was listening to that song we played on our road trip, and it made me realize how much I miss those times." Or perhaps he opens up about his feelings, saying, "Things haven't felt the same since we've been apart." These moments of honesty are rare and precious. They're his way of peeling back the layers and revealing the emotional impact you've had on his life. When a man shares these kinds of thoughts, he's not just being sentimental, he's being brave. Vulnerability, especially for men who often embrace stoicism or a more reserved emotional approach, isn't easy. It takes courage for him to admit that he's been replaying those moments in his mind, or that your absence has left a void. This emotional openness is one of the clearest signs that he misses you deeply. Here's something else to consider. How does he talk about the future? When a man misses you, his thoughts naturally gravitate toward the possibility of being with you again. Maybe he says something like, "I can't wait for us to plan another trip like that," or "I was thinking next time we should try that new restaurant you mentioned." These future-oriented statements aren't just casual, they're his way of expressing his desire to keep you in his life, to create new memories that are just as meaningful as the old ones. And what about the moments when he shares something personal, something he doesn't tell just anyone? Maybe he opens up about a fear he has, a dream he's been chasing, or even a challenge he's been struggling with. When a man lets you into this vulnerable space, it's because he trusts you. But more importantly, it's because he misses the emotional closeness that only you provide. He's not just sharing his thoughts, he's seeking the comfort and understanding that comes with having you by his side. Have you ever noticed him sending you little reminders of his thoughts, like sharing a song, a photo, or even a random meme that made him think of you? These small acts aren't random. They're his way of saying, "You're on my mind," even when I'm not saying it outright. Men often use these indirect methods of communication to express feelings they might not know how to articulate fully. And then there's the way he talks about you to others. Have you ever heard from a mutual friend that he's been mentioning you or talking about things you've done together? This kind of secondhand sentiment is a clear sign that you've been occupying his thoughts. When a man misses you, he doesn't just keep it to himself, he reflects it in the way he talks about you, even when you're not around. But let's get personal. How does he respond when you bring up shared memories or sentimental topics? Does his face light up? Does he lean into the conversation, eager to revisit those moments with you? This kind of enthusiasm isn't just nostalgia, it's longing. It's his way of saying, "I want to relive those moments because they remind me of how much I care about you." And let's not forget the timing of these sentimental moments. Have you noticed that he tends to open up during quiet, late-night conversations or after a long day? These moments of reflection are when he's most in touch with his emotions, and it's no coincidence that you're the person he turns to. His late-night texts or calls aren't just about passing the time, they're about reconnecting with the person he misses most. Here's a question for you. Have you started noticing these deeper, more personal conversations with him? If so, how do they make you feel? Do they bring you closer, or do they leave you wondering why he's sharing so much? The truth is, when a man misses you, he doesn't just want to connect, he wants to feel understood. And these conversations are his way of building that understanding, one heartfelt confession at a time. And speaking of connection, let me pause for a moment to remind you, if you're enjoying this video and these insights into how men express longing, hit that like button. And if you can relate to any of these signs, drop a number 1 in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories, and I'm sure others in this community can relate too. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this, where we dive deep into the emotions and behaviors that define love and connection. Now, back to the final layer of this fascinating topic. Let's talk about the moments when he shares something purely for the sake of making you feel special. Have you ever had him say something like, "You're the only person I can talk to about this," or "No one else would understand this the way you do"? These statements aren't just compliments, they're confessions. They're his way of acknowledging the unique bond you share and the irreplaceable role you play in his life. And here's something even more profound. When a man misses you, he doesn't just dwell on the past or anticipate the future, he cherishes the present. The conversations you're having right now, the laughter you're sharing, the moments you're creating in real time, these are the things he holds on to when you're not there. By opening up to you, he's not just expressing his feelings, he's anchoring himself to the connection that means the most to him. So let me ask you one final question. Do you feel the depth of his emotions in the way he shares his thoughts and memories with you? If so, treasure those moments. They're more than just words, they're windows into his heart. In the conclusion of this video, we'll tie together all 5 signs and reflect on what they reveal about the way he feels. Missing someone is one of the most profound emotions we can experience, and understanding it can transform the way we connect with each other. Stay tuned, because the best is yet to come. Missing someone is one of the most vulnerable yet beautiful emotions we experience. It's a testament to the bond you share, the memories you've created, and the feelings that linger even when you're apart. Throughout this journey, we've explored 5 powerful signs that reveal when a man truly misses you: his communication, his changing behavior, the effort he puts into spending time with you, the unspoken language of his body, and the personal, sentimental thoughts he chooses to share. These signs aren't just random. They're a roadmap to understanding his heart. Every text he sends, every touch that lingers, every memory he recalls, it all points to one undeniable truth. You've made a lasting impression on him, and when he misses you, his actions, words, and even his silences are filled with echoes of that longing. So what does this mean for you? It means you have the power to deepen the connection, to recognize the subtle ways he expresses his emotions, and to respond in a way that strengthens the bond between you. Whether he's leaning closer, reminiscing about a special moment, or making plans for your next adventure, every sign is a reminder of how much he values having you in his life. But here's the big question. What will you do now that you understand how he's feeling? Will you reach out, acknowledge his efforts, and meet him halfway? Or will you let the signs guide you toward a deeper connection at your own pace? The beauty of this journey is that it's entirely yours to navigate. Before we wrap up, let me ask you, have you seen these signs in someone you care about? Did any of these resonate with your own experiences? If so, I'd love for you to like this video and comment number 1 below to share your thoughts. Your stories might inspire someone else who's trying to make sense of their own emotions and relationships. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel for more insights into love, connection, and understanding the hearts of men. Together, we'll continue exploring the depths of human connection and unlocking the mysteries of attraction and relationships. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Remember, understanding someone's feelings is a gift, and when you recognize the signs that he misses you, you open the door to a deeper, more meaningful connection. Until next time, take care, keep an open heart, and trust in the power of the bond you share.